Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on May the 4th, 2020. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, especially in today's markets. So please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So in terms of the data here, the data from US was positive, and as a result, we did see US equity markets go up. Coming up here, we have Australian data, trade balance numbers here. They're supposed to be a little bit lower than previous. But again, at this point, if the trade numbers are within reason, even if they are below expectations, I don't see that being as a big negative impact on Australian dollar at this point. The markets are still in the risk on mode, although we have to be careful because that can shift. Because they have been going in one direction for too long, and now we are almost at all-time highs with our equity market stocks, but we are not from economy perspective. So there's a big disparity going on right now, but still market is in a risk on mode, which means all our dollar crosses are going up, yen crosses are going up, stock markets are going up. So as long as we are in the risk on mode, Australian dollar does well under those conditions. So a slight miss or even a big miss, I wouldn't expect it would put a big damper on the Australian dollar as a result of that. But if the markets stock markets go into risk off mode, that will make the Australian dollar drop. So we need to be careful. Coming up on Thursday here, we have Euro here, ECB monetary policy statement. At this point, I'm not expecting any change. We did hear that ECB actually came forward with a 750 billion stimulus package here. Now that has to be approved by all the member countries, but that was positive news, and as a result we have seen Euro do really well. So if they don't really change anything, or if they're positive in regards to the growth of the economy, Euro is likely to hold up. But if for some reason they turn negative, which again I don't expect them to, but whatever, things are crazy right now. So if they do for some reason turn say any kind of comments that are negative, that's something that could bring the euro down. But otherwise, I would expect it to be neutral, just like all the other central banks that we have seen. If they say something like the growth prospects coming out of COVID are better than what they had expected, that will be positive for euro. We have heard that out of Fed. We have heard that out of Bank of Canada, Reserve Bank of Australia. So ECB says the same thing. That is likely to be positive for euro. So just keep that in mind. We have trade balance numbers here for Canada. At this point, they are expected to be worse than previous just because everything was shut down. But again, if the numbers are within reason here, even if they are below the expected number, it should be fine at this point. Then we have non-farm productivity numbers, but nothing else major here. We do have consumer confidence numbers out of UK. So right now with UK, we do have to keep in mind the Brexit talks. So yesterday, there were some publications said that US and UK are actually coming, they're coming closer in terms of negotiations. So if that's anything we hear that is positive for Brexit, them talking, them getting together in terms of coming to an agreement, all of that will be positive for British pound. But if we start hearing negative things that they are fighting about it, they're arguing about it, they're not able to reach an agreement, all those things will be negative for British pound. So this is where we are likely to see British pound is where we may see some sort of some problems there. So I would keep an open mind there. And of course, euro can get brought down with that as well. So pay attention. We need to pay attention to Brexit talks this month. And also with British pound, we do have Bank of England this month. And Bank of England has been talking about negative interest rates. So anytime we talk about negative interest rates, that's negative for the currency. And we're likely to see pound drop as a result of that. So leading up to the Bank of England meeting, we may see pound drop. But also leading up to ECB here, we could see euro drop. So we just have to be careful overnight anytime we have an important event like this. Even though nothing's supposed to change, we could still, there's still uncertainty in the market, and that can drive the prices down. So just be mindful of that. All right, so let's go on to the charts here. We'll start off by taking a look at euro dollar here. So euro, we did see price move up today. A nice move up here. And in terms of the bias here, bias is bullish, but we are into resistance. So if you take a look at our euro, it's right into this previous support and resistance. And if we go back a bit, as we can see here, price has reacted to this support resistance level multiple times. So we just need to be careful. All right, so in terms of the bias is bullish. I will look for a pullback either into this 1215 area or even 1.1200 area. And then if it holds, we're looking for a further move to the upside. So bias here is bullish. But just keep in mind this 1200 area, we could get price pulling back into this area before it moves forwards, or the 1215 area, which is right about there. So those are the two levels I would watch in terms of a pullback. First target will be 1.1250, which was the high of today. And then if it gets through that, we're looking at 1.1300. So bias here is bullish for euro dollar. Pound dollar here. Pound is looking a little weaker today. As we can see here, it hasn't gone into the high. And the close for today is a little weaker. We see a pin on top, which means we may see this one drop. So I would be careful with this one. My bias is neutral here. I think we could see a drop in this one. Next target here is 1.2480. So I'm not completely bearish at this point, but I'm neutral. If it doesn't break the high, I'm looking for a drop. So 1.2480 is the first target, and then 1.2420 will be the second target here. So neutral bias for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here. Aussie has put up another bullish day here like we expected yesterday, but again, notice we have a pin on top. So this one is showing some softness as well. So again, I am neutral on this one as well. I don't like the large pin on top. When you have a strong candle like this, then we can expect a move to the upside. But when you start to see pins on top, then things start to get soft. So right now, I would say in this case, neutral bias. I would look for price to pull back potentially into this 0.86. Sorry, no, not 86, 0.6880. So 0.6880, if it holds above this level, then I'm looking for it to move higher. And this level comes all the way from here. As we can see, price has been reacting to this level. And now if it holds above, then it's likely to go higher. But at the same time, if it goes through that, then it could start to come lower. So for now, I'm neutral, but notice how prices prices into the highs here, pre-COVID highs. So this is where it has moved up so much that we have to start being careful with this one. So just keep that in mind. All right, so next one here. So bias is neutral for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar, this one is still looking bullish here. We do have a bullish candle close, but this one is into solid resistance here. So again, we need to be careful. So I would say the bias here is bullish, but with caution, because if it doesn't get through the resistance, it can drop. For now, though, I'm looking for a pullback potentially into 0.6380. And then if it holds above, I'm looking for a further move to the upside, sorry. So bias is bullish with caution though, but if it holds below, then it can of course drop. In this case, the next target is 0.6500, and above that, we're looking at 0.6520. So bullish bias for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, we do have a bearish candle close. As we can see, prices going through this gap here. Now, one thing to keep in mind here also is that price has not broken yesterday's low, and that can be a little bit concerning, even though bias still is bearish here. And I may have said bullish yesterday, so my apologies, but it is still bearish. And at this point, I will look for a pullback into potentially into this 1.3520 level, and then another drop here. So bearish bias, but again with caution here, because it hasn't broken the low for the day, which means it could become range bound at this point. So next target here is 1.3380, and should it drop below that, 1.3320. So bias here is bearish for dollar CAD. Silver here, we saw a drop in silver. So nice bearish candle here. Bias is bearish. 17.20 is the next target. And then we are back into this level again at 16.80. I would look out for a pullback potentially into 17.80 or 17.75 level, and then a drop from there. So bias here is bearish. Gold here, gold is looking bearish as well, big drop today, and now the next target is 1680, and then we are looking at 1665 here. So bearish bias for gold. Watch out for a pullback into 1700 or 1705 before it drops though. So bearish bias for gold. Oil here, oil not looking that hot anymore. It did go all the way into 38.35 level here. Today's candle close is neutral, so this one could go in either direction here. Target here would be 65.70 and then 34.20. For some reason, if it does go through the resistance, it could go all the way into 42 level. But for now, we may get a drop here before it goes further. So we may get one of these. That means we may have a negative day, a down day tomorrow. So keep that in mind. 35.70 and 34.20 will be the next targets here. Copper here, again, this one looking a little weak. We did have multiple days of bullishness here, prices into resistance. As we can see, it hasn't managed to hold above that, and bias is bearish now. 2.41 is the first level, and then 2.38 is the second target. So bearish bias for copper. Bitcoin here, this one is looking neutral, not really going anywhere in a hurry. Bias is neutral. I would just expect it to be in this range right now. So neutral bias for Bitcoin. S&P 500 bias here is bullish, but it is into a very important support resistance level. This is where price had after the initial drop here. This is where price had pulled back before it dropped. Now we could see one of these here because this is the back test level. So if it holds below 31.30, we're likely to see a drop here. But it is a big strong candle, which means it can go further. And in that case, we may just get a pullback into 3100, and then we may see another move to the upside into 3180, and of course it can continue higher into 3220. For now though, bias is bullish, but with caution here for S&P 500. Nasdaq here, amazingly, is into all-time highs. So this is our pre-COVID drop. This is where, when the COVID concerns in the US came to the forefront, this is where we saw that drop. And now it's almost into that level, which is insane. It doesn't make sense. The economy hasn't even opened yet. We have nowhere the same type of economic growth forecast or anything, but market's very optimistic right now because it's flush with low priced money. So interest rates are really low right now. Government is pumping money into the economy and everything is hunky-dory. As a result of that, this has been very, very bullish. And we have seen this, what's called the V-shaped recovery. However, things are not quite done yet, so I would be careful here. With this one, I am neutral here. The candle isn't looking very solid, so if it doesn't go through the resistance here, we're likely to see a drop. So today, I would look for a pullback into 9,600, and if it holds above, it is likely to overshoot. So keep that in mind. Bias here is neutral. I would look for a pullback back into this 9,600 and then a further move higher if market is still feeling optimistic. So that's Nasdaq neutral here. Dow Jones looking very bullish still. And as we can see, price is back into this support resistance level, but the major support resistance level is even higher here. So right now, bias is bullish. For Dow Jones as well. Again, I would suggest caution here because now we are into some interesting areas. Price hasn't been at these levels and economy is not back at levels where it was when price was here, and markets were already at all-time highs before we had a crash. So just be cautious here. Bias is bullish, and next target here would be 26,700, and then above that we are looking at 27,000. So for the time being, I'm looking for a pullback potentially into 26,000, and if it holds above, another move higher there. So Dow Jones is looking bullish at the moment. DAX, very, very bullish close for the day here. This one as well, again, into some important support resistance levels here. And we're back into that level even before the second drop happened here. So this is still looking bullish. Again, I would suggest caution because economies haven't quite recovered yet and market is acting as if we have. And when that happens, sometimes there's too much optimism can basically take everybody under. So just be mindful. But bias is bullish with caution, and I will look for a pullback potentially into 12,380. And if it holds above, we're looking for a further move to the upside. And this, of course, is a very strong support resistance level at 12,840. So for now, bias is bullish with caution. FTSE here, again, very strong day for FTSE, but we are into massive resistance here. So FTSE hasn't recovered as well as we have seen the Eurozone or especially the US here. So in this case, again, be cautious because we are into solid resistance and this is where things could turn. But should it go through though, next target here would be 6,600. For now though, I would be more cautious and I will look for a pullback before this one goes higher. Nikkei, of course, very solid close and again into massive resistance here. And this one is almost at pre-COVID levels. So this is where we're almost there here, not that much of a difference. But as we can see, it's dropping right now. So the higher we get, the more chances that we could see a turnaround here. So if it doesn't break through the high, I will look for it to come back into support at 22,450. So bias for now is neutral for this one, just because it's into massive resistance. And as long as it holds below the high of the day, I will look for this 22,450, and this is where it could just do a quick pullback and then go higher, so watch out for that. And it could also just pull back into this support level right here, which is 22,640. So keep an eye on those two levels, 22,640 and then 22,450. But overall, bias is neutral to bullish for Nikkei. All right, any questions before we wrap it up?
Yeah, no, all good, Raman. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so we'll wrap it up here. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Sounds good. Have a good